family. Welcome to another exciting edition of A Shot of Wrestling, the interviews. If you have not done so already, follow us on all forms of social media at A Shot of Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, and Shot of Wrestling, no A, on Twitter. You can also get in contact with us via email at inbox@ashotofwrestling.com and dial it up 619-343-3005. That is our exclusive Shot of Wrestling hotline. We say it time and time again, and tonight, today, every day is no different than the next. Wrestling brings us together, and today, wrestling has brought us former NXT Superstar, former two-time NYWC Champion, and all-around nice guy, Bull James. How are you, Bull?
GreenMan, what's going on?
Chilling, man, chilling. Now, you know, we've been trying to get together for the last couple of days, but life just keeps getting in the way. So thank you for finally coming on. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
So let's get started. I always want to know, how did you fall in love with professional wrestling?
I was watching TV with my grandfather one day, and wrestling came on, and I had no idea what I was looking at, and I just fell in love with it because it was just something about it where I couldn't look away. It was like a car crash, and that was it. And like after that, he started taping stuff for me, and every time I'd see him, you know, like every couple months, he would have like a new VHS tape of like whatever he could find.
So you got into wrestling back when trading tapes was like a thing, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, my grandfather wasn't a tape trader, but no, he had a VHS recorder, and he knew that I liked it, so he would just record the stuff that he knew I liked.
Do you remember the first match that you watched that got you like really into it?
No, I was so young. I don't remember what it was, but I remember we were watching wrestling, and I must have said something like that it was cool or whatever, and that was when he started recording stuff for me.
Now, you grew up in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about all the changes that have been going on in Brooklyn? Because the Brooklyn from, I'm sure, growing up in Brooklyn is not the same Brooklyn going on today.
Oh, no, it's a whole different world, man. I mean, it's got its positives now because a lot of things are nicer. But at the same time, like where I was in Brooklyn, it's not that it wasn't nice. You know, it was a pretty good area. The neighborhood aspect of it is gone, and that's really sad. It used to be like when I was a kid, I would play in the street with my friends, and you know, if somebody came to try to like, you know, some sicko came to like snatch us up, they wouldn't get like more than a block away before somebody had their hands on them.
You're right.
So that's kind of gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, anywhere you look in New York, like even I remember growing up, there was, like you said, a feeling of a neighborhood. I remember playing basketball on the corner of my street.
Oh yeah, forgot it. No,
yeah.
It's a whole different world, man.
Do you miss it? Do you miss the old world? It's gonna make us sound old.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. Like I said, there's parts of today's Brooklyn that I absolutely love, and I'm happy happened. But some of it, man, it's just like people don't know what they're missing. Like they don't know what they pushed out. You know.
What area are you living in now?
I'm in Greenpoint.
Okay, cool.
Born and raised.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't born in Queens, but I've always lived in Queens my whole life, and you know, the old New York is really sometimes what I miss. It's just being out. Like, when's the last time you get to tell kids go out and play? You know?
Yeah.
Do you ever?
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's so different.
Do you remember playing wrestling with like a buddy of yours? Like,
no, because I was really like the only one that watched wrestling for a while. Like nobody I really knew was into it.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I had a cousin. We used to just practice every single wrestling move on each other. Had some accidents here and there.
Like, we were just more like playing stickball and stuff, and you know, rollerblading or skateboarding or whatever, and just getting in trouble.
Well, you know what's interesting? When people begin to identify a certain wrestler with a certain company, it's interesting that you are just recognized as a WWE NXT guy. You did some stuff in the indies early on, but I feel like, you know, when you hear the name Bull James at this point, it's like NXT, WWE guy, you know, mad respect to that. Was it intimidating being in the first class of the brand new WWE Performance Center?
No, I was never intimidated by anything. It was more just, you know, happy to have the challenge and the opportunity.
When you got the opportunity to go, who did you tell? How did you feel?
I went nuts. I was working overnight, doing some bouncing, and I was woken up with a phone call basically telling me that, you know, I got my dream job.
Wow, yeah.
And, yeah, man, it was crazy. Really, it was the best feeling in the world.
How does your family feel about you doing wrestling?
I think at first they thought it was like a phase that I would kind of grow out of. They were always supportive. You can't ask for more than that. But I think they just felt like eventually I would just give it up and go back to school or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never did.
Were you ever in the position where, should I really go finish up school, like have something to fall back on, or was it always just wrestling all the way?
I think it was always wrestling all the way. There came a time where I got told no by TNA. I got told no by Ring of Honor. And it was either like make a full-blown effort to go to WWE or be realistic and go, okay, I'm going to stop beating my body up and go get a degree. And, my brother pulled me aside and he told me, you can always go back to school. You're never too young for that. But wrestling and athletics and stuff, that's got a time restriction on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just one of those things of like, give it all you got now. And worst case scenario, you can be 30, 35 and have not made it and go back to school.
Do you ever go back and think about how and why your time in the WWE came to an end?
Not really. Like maybe it's like the first week, but I feel like you're kind of allowed that. But if you keep harping on that, you're not doing yourself or anybody else any favors,
Once you realize, all right, I'm going to be started pushing forward, what were the first things after the WWE that you were like, all right, this is what I need to do. This is the next step. This is next for me.
Well, it was just a matter of keeping my name out there and staying relevant, making sure that, you have your bookings where the shows are not good and, you're there for the payday. But then, you have the ones that, there's eyes on them and you have to be able to kind of like differentiate one from the other. And it's, thankfully Tommy Dreamer called me and I've been on House of Hardcore ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of gave me a home when it came to that. He was the second person to call me after I got released and was just like, hey man, you're on every show. So I'll just, once I give you the dates, once I announce dates, just know that you're booked.
That's awesome.
So that helped out tremendously. And it kind of just kickstarted everything. And it was one of those things where I got released and literally in the parking lot of the Performance Center, I was making a new email so I can take bookings and tweeting that I got released and saying, hey, I'm available for bookings here. Like literally before I pulled out of the parking lot of the Performance Center, I was taking bookings.
So you said Dreamer was the second person who called you. Who was the first?
Kevin Kelly. Kevin and I have a long history and still involved with Ring of Honor at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty much the preliminary talks that wound up with me eventually going there for a little bit.
Now, you've been doing this for a little bit over 12 years. Who has made the biggest impression on you and your career so far?
That's tough, man. Like, there's just so many people. I mean, if I go down the list of guys and girls that have helped me or that I, would give credit to, I mean, you're talking about Matt Bourne, Kodiak Bear, Danny Doring, Danny Inferno, Judas Young, Crowbar, Tommy Dreamer, Taz, Phil DeMott, Matt Bloom, Norman Smiley, Sarah Del Rey, Sarah Stock, Adam Pierce, Robbie Brookside, Terry Taylor, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, William Regal, Fit Finley, Scott Armstrong, Road Dogg, all these guys, and Billy Gunn, like 100%, Joey Mercury. Like, there's just so many people, dude. Like, I'm leaving people out, and if they ever hear this, they'll probably like hate me for it, but whatever. Because there's literally so many people that have helped me that I can't just say like, oh, this person's the one that influenced me the most. Like, they all had such a profound effect on everything that I've done and am doing that it's hard to just narrow down to one person.
Gotcha. Now, you mentioned one that I find really interesting because you were in NXT during the Dusty Rhodes days. And a lot of people are influenced, obviously, by him. What have you learned the most from your time with him?
I mean, just everything, man. Dream was awesome. He just, if he saw something in you, that was it. Like, you were one of his kids.
Mm-hmm.
If you were like the cookie cutter, version of what people think a wrestler is, and you could cut a great promo, then like, all right, cool, you're on your way. And he wanted people that maybe weren't, what people like think is perfect. He was just all about finding that one thing in you and just bringing it out and turn the volume up.
Now, in your current day, you're the head trainer at NYWC. Is there anything from your time with Dusty that you're trying now to, like, you're that middle person to try to teach a new crop of people in?
Oh yeah, there's so much from, and it's not just from Dream, it's from everybody that I named. I'm always like saying something to one of the kids, and then in my head I laugh because I remember where I heard it from. Like it kind of clicks back those memories, and it's just funny. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's so much of what goes into my training of those kids there is from the Performance Center.
Now, if anybody wants to be a professional wrestler, get in the business, obviously going to a good school is important. You're the head trainer at NYWC. How is, if I was new and I wanted to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life, how does day one look for me with you?
Day one just can put you through the paces a little bit and see what you got. I always tell people, you're not going to blow up one of my kids. You're not going to outwork them. Everybody that walks in that door can go, and if you can't when you first get there, it's okay, but you just can't quit. If you quit and then you come back and you quit and you come back, I don't run the financial side of the school. That's all NYWC. So okay. I can't sit there and be like, hey, maybe this isn't for you, because I also can't shit on somebody's dream, But
has anybody shitted on your dream while you were coming up?
Nobody in the business really, but just
but friends
I can't ever tell somebody this isn't for them, but if they're not going to put the work in, then I don't want them a part of my camp.
What are some of the names of your students right now who have really impressed you, who you're like, wow, this guy, instant talent?
Alex Coughlin, he's in the LA dojo for New Japan.
Oh yeah,
he just debuted in Long Beach last week on their show. Willow Nightingale is out in California right now for WOW, and she's doing Shimmer and Shine also now full time, which is great.
Love her.
Jaden Vallow. There's so many kids, man. We got 30 kids in the school now. The Benson Bros, Aiden Bale. The list there's really a lot of kids right now and they all work hard and they all just have so much potential. It's really cool to see.
Now, if we go back from the time you were in NXT to the time now, how do you think the wrestling business has changed, or do you think it has changed at all?
I think the business is always changing.
Uh-huh.
It's always evolving. It's always moving in different directions.
Has there been any positive progress? Do you feel that there's things that are in the business right now that are not working?
Nothing that really stands out. I just mean it's like any other business. You try something out. If it doesn't work, you work out the kinks and you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the people that will sit and bitch and moan about this is what's wrong nowadays. Okay, cool, but what are you doing to fix it?
Right.
All the people that complain about how WWE does their booking or their writing, okay, then don't watch, because guess what? They just signed $1 billion TV deal. They don't give a shit what you think about on Twitter. Think about that. They signed $1 billion TV deal, so they're doing something right. If you want them to listen to you, then stop giving them your money. Otherwise, you're just sitting there bitching just to bitch, and it's just a useless conversation to have. And that's what bothers me the most. I think is just everybody wants to complain, but nobody wants to do anything about it.
On your spare time, do you watch any wrestling? Do you watch any of the WWE product?
Yeah, constantly.
And
it's my business. It's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So it would be a detriment to me if I didn't.
Right. Do you find it still entertaining you?
Certain things will entertain me. If I see a certain gimmick or something, or just little stuff that makes me laugh. But you can never once you're in, you can never watch it like a fan again. At least most guys can't. Most people I know.
So when you watch it, what are you thinking about? Because you may know some of the people in there already. So are you analyzing it to kind of be oh, this is why they're doing it, or maybe getting some inspiration for something?
I just watch my friends and you watch the match. All right, cool, it was a good match. I try not to be over analytical of anything, but I think it's just one of those things where I'm watching my friends do what they do, and they have a good match. In my head, I'm like, all right, cool, they had a good match. Good, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not this, groundbreaking thing every week. I'm just watching Raw or whatever.
Yeah, I get it. It gets to the point for me personally that I'm just I just want to be entertained. I don't care too much about how things are booked anymore, but I'm just I want to desensitize myself. I want to sit, grab a beer, and just be all right, these are the 3 hours I'm going to just chill, relax, and I want to laugh. I want to have a good time. I want to smile, and I just want to be entertained.
Yeah, you want to escape from real life, man. That's what we do. It's you especially on an independent level, you work how many hours a week, come home, take care of the kid. So it's that weekend comes, you just want to do something to get away from all that. Even if you love your job and you're the best family man in the world, you still need a couple hours to just chill out and get away from all that, you know?
What do you do to chill out?
I just hang out with my friends, but somehow or another it always goes back to wrestling, so there's really no escaping it for me.
Yeah, I was just telling my wife that because she was like, "You're always going to all these wrestling shows. You need to stop going to all these shows." I was like, "Listen, it's something I like, and the more I'm going to them, the more I'm making friends in wrestling, and the more that we want to talk about wrestling, go and hang out and have a drink and watch wrestling. Like, this is how I like to be entertained. Like, I don't go to the movies anymore because I don't find that entertaining, you know."
Yeah,
So,
totally.
just where we
You
are.
you found something that you liked, and it helps you get away from real life. So awesome, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now let's talk about the indie scene because I'm a little bit new to it. I'm literally when I started the podcast about 2.5 years ago, I was like, "Yo, we're just watching WWE. We haven't been exposed to anything outside of it, so we're big WWE marks." And we're like, let's go check out some shows like at the Elks Lodge. I always hear there's shows going on there. And we went there and I was hooked. From the first ring of the bell, I was like, yo, this is awesome. Has the independent scene changed a lot from where it is now to where it was years before when you were breaking into the business?
Oh, 1,000,000%. I mean, and for all the good that, you know, the Bucks and Cody are doing with things like All In and being the elite and stuff like that, like, indies are hot everywhere you go. It's almost like except for New York. And the New York scene that I left behind when I went to WWE compared to the one I came back to, it was on its ass. It was almost dead when I came back.
Really?
Know? Yeah.
How
compared
so?
To what it was.
How was it dead?
You just none of the old guard was still there to like kind of keep people in check. You had so many guys and girls that were just entitled and they hadn't earned, you know, the right to carry themselves the way they did. Like they've been in the business for like 2 years, worked a couple places, and then thought that meant that they were like a big star.
Right.
And you try to bring somebody down off a high horse, and you try to do it nice, they blow you off. Then they blow you off, and you get angry, and then you become the dick. But it's just the way it is. Like I could half the people that I saw and that I was exposed to when I came back from WWE in the New York area 10 years ago wouldn't have lasted more than a week in the business.
Really? Completely
you know,
different
and
business.
And
how's
the crowds were down. It was sad, you know. Now slowly, like a lot of the crappy companies, like, and don't get me wrong, if there's a million companies in New York, it's awesome because then everybody's got a place to work and get better. But man, sometimes it's about quality, not quantity.
Well, let's talk about quality a little bit because I think the fans always speak to where the quality is. And we're just hot off the last Outlaw show in Brooklyn. And man, that crowd was red hot, man. I never realized how much that crowd makes a difference. Did the boys and the girls in the back, like, did they feel that energy from that room?
Oh, 100%. Like, I didn't believe it. You know, it was reminiscent to me of how ICW in Scotland is, or OTT in Ireland. Like, when I go over there and wrestle in front of those crowds, like it's always that kind of energy. But I haven't seen that in New York in I don't know how long.
I totally agree. I think there's been many shows we've been on, and I haven't felt that energy from a crowd in a long time. What do you think contributes to the success of that?
I think it was a little bit of everything. I think because, you know, here's the thing. In New York, there's always been, you know, 8 or 10 companies running shows, at least. And now, like, you know, either they don't run their business the right way or they can't afford the cost of all, you know, the athletic commission and the insurance and all that. So before they even book talent, you know, you're talking about, you know, for an independent show being $2,500 in the hole by the time they pay for, you know, a graphic designer and posters and tickets to get made and insurance and a building rent and ambulance, doctor, you know, so before you even touch talent, you're $2,500 in the hole. And, you know, if you want to bring somebody in and you got to fly them in, put them up in a hotel, you know, it's that can add up. And if it's an indie show that's only drawing, you know, a couple hundred people, you're not going to sustain a good lifespan. And so I think just from a lot of those companies going away, I think the fans, I think it was a mix of everything. I think the fans and the wrestlers realized they were a little spoiled with how much was going on at one point.
Right.
And I think neither us or them wanted to take that for granted again.
I mean, the show was amazing. I think the quality in the ring also speaks volumes to the storytelling in the ring. Everybody was really on point into getting everybody invested, really like reading the crowd as far as what we wanted to see and what more we wanted to see. I saw Matt Stryker walking around backstage and stuff. Are you guys close? Because he wasn't on the card at all.
Matt's another one again. So now we go back to the people that I forgot to mention who are now going to bust my balls relentlessly. Matt's always helped me out. From the first day I met him till we speak right now, he's always been really great to me. He's always tried to lead me in the right direction.
What was his thoughts about the show? Did he give you any feedback on it?
He was coming up to me. He was coming up to Shane from NYWC
mm-hmm.
and to the owner, Chris, coming up to all of us, and like he's like, wow, like there's something special here, because we were just like floored, you know?
No, there really was. Thinking about like the future of Outlaw, what are like dream matches that you would want to book for Outlaw if you could?
Well, I don't have the book, but if I did, I would say I would love to wrestle Homicide again at some point.
Now, I've talked to a few people, and they've said like Homicide is one of like those guys from the past who are like the gatekeepers of the wrestling and what's going on in our scene in this area. What does that mean, though?
Well, it means if you mess up in the locker room, or if you do something stupid, you know, there's consequences.
Okay.
You know, there's a tradition to our business, and it basically just comes down to respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this business is built on respect and nothing else. It is all about respect. And it goes back to what I said, where now you have a generation coming up that's entitled and doesn't pay their dues. They're not broken in the right way. And they don't, as much as they think they're respected, they don't. They walk around with their noses above everybody. And, you know, you do that in front of a guy like Homicide or myself, like, sorry, we're going to be that guy and say something and call you out.
But I think it's also a product of like our society, you know, like everybody's
100%.
So rich in like the social media, and, you know, you think you have 10,000 followers and now you're the shit, you know? So any other dream matches? You and Homicide, that's a good one.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know if Amazing Red's ever worked with Rich Swann, but I would love to see that.
Whoa, that is very intriguing. I
know Red's a little banged up right now, and I know he takes on like a really light schedule. So I think that'd be cool to see before he's like officially done, whenever that may be. What else? I don't know. I'm just like throwing things, whatever's like fresh in my head is like popping up right now.
Yeah. Well, we have the November card coming up. What's planned for that?
I know as of right now, from what I've heard, it is there's 3 matches I've heard being talked about.
Okay.
One is Willow Nightingale against Puff.
Nice.
The other, Matt Stryker, since you brought him up, and Alex Reynolds against Pepper Parks and Andy Williams.
Oh, wow. I'm liking this already, bro. That's a good one.
And then my match is the Closers and Brandon Watts against myself, Orange Cassidy, and Bill Carr.
Love Orange Cassidy, by the way.
Yeah, he's a man.
He's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I saw him
when I saw Bill in the back dressed like him, I lost it. It might be my new favorite thing ever.
Hey, you know, Halloween is right around the corner. If you really want to make some money, we need to get some Orange Cassidy costumes out there at Party City and shit.
Oh, that's great.
It's a thing. We could make it happen.
I love it.
Oh, man. You know what I love, though? You're very close with like the wrestling community, and you posted a while back you want to get Juice to Wrestlemania 35. Fill us in a little bit more about that.
Oh, yeah, Juice is awesome, man. I was doing a show for Excite Wrestling in Binghamton.
Mm-hmm.
They run some great shows. They're really cool guys. And I was wrestling Joe Gacy, and I did something, I spilled out to the floor. And Juice was right there, and she like came up to me like sort of like middle of my match, like just walks up to me and puts her arms out. So I'm like, yeah, all right. So I hug her, and then she looks up, she's like, I love you, and I'm like, I love you too. You're awesome. And then I finished my match, came back out, gave her a hug, took a picture with her, and that was it. But then I went out to sell pictures and stuff, and she just sat down next to me, like started talking to me, and like that was it. I just fell in love with her. She's awesome. So now, you know, talking to her mom and everybody up at Excite. She goes to every one of their shows. She's a diehard wrestling fan. Like, her dream is to go to WrestleMania. But obviously, you know, that cost for a single mom living in Binghamton isn't the the easiest thing to accomplish. So Juice makes the handmade yarn bracelet. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna like just put it out on the internet, get people behind it, and let's see what we can do. You know.
Mm-hmm. How's your fundraising? How's it coming along?
So right now, the cheapest travel package for Wrestlemania last year was just over $1,200, and we're at $1,300 for her right now.
Oh, that's amazing. But we should really try to get her front row.
Well, that's the goal. No.
I mean,
but as long as she's going at this point, whatever happens between now and when those tickets go on sale are just icing on the cake.
That's
for
awesome.
Her.
That's awesome. Where could we get one of these handmade bracelets? Because I've seen them. They're really cool. I want to pick up a few.
I have some. Whatever I have left that she made, I have for sale wherever I'm wrestling.
Okay.
And they are still online at bulljames.bigcartel.com.
Awesome. WrestleMania, it's such a great event. We started going to WrestleMania. I think we're up to like our 13th or 14th WrestleMania in a row that we've gone to, and it's just addicting. It's addicting. It's a big expense, but we originally started because our boys, we grow up, we have our families, we have our own responsibilities. It became the guys' trip, Every year it'd be somewhere else new we could go to and just like explore together and feel like, we're fraternity guys. So we're back in the frats, like the frat days.
Right.
Do you, before you got into the business, what shows did you go to, or what have you ever been to a WrestleMania as a fan?
I was at WrestleMania 20 as a fan.
Oh, I started at 22. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah, no, 20 was awesome.
Yeah. Who were your guys back then? Who did you mark out to?
I loved Eddie Guerrero. I definitely wanted He Who Shall Not Be Named to win the main event.
Okay.
I always talk to like random people too. Like when I watch old stuff, like I watch Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch. I'm not watching, Savage Steamboat. Like I love obscure wrestling stuff.
I feel ya.
So,
I feel ya. Who are you?
My tastes always change. Like I'm always watching like just different guys and girls. Like I don't know. It's like every week it changes.
Now you've few years removed from the WWE. What are your goals now? Are your goals to go back there? Are your goals to continue building a name for yourself in the independent scene, training? What are your new goals?
I have like a million different goals right now. Like obviously I want to go back to WWE and finish what I didn't get to do the first time, WrestleMania and stuff like that. At the same time, that doesn't mean that I'm closing off my doors to any other opportunities. I had a short stint in Ring of Honor. I had to go back there. Impact is doing some really, really cool things right now.
I would love to see you in Impact. I think that's a great place.
And obviously New Japan kicking ass. So, I mean, like, there's places to go. It's just making sure the timing is right and the right opportunity is there. It's not when I was a kid and it was, I'll do whatever. Yeah, it's got to be right for me and for them. It can't just be right for the other party.
Now, we have a lot of people who listen to the show who are wrestlers, who are doing the drives, are in the independent scene, who sometimes listen to get inspiration from people who have already made it there. What advice do you have for them?
I mean, just keep working your ass off and don't take no for an answer. Stay humble, ears and eyes open, mouth shut. Just constantly try to get better and don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Everybody's so concerned with like, oh, this guy's booked here and I'm not. Well, all right, like, well, shit happens. Like, find somewhere else to work then and drive there. I tell my kids at the school all the time, like, you can only worry about the stuff you can control.
That's like a life lesson, though.
You can control how you work. You can control your promos. You can control your entrance and your character and that kind of stuff. You can control how you look. You can control how much money you invest in yourself as far as, like, gear and boots and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, everything else is somebody else's decision. It's whoever is paying you that night or giving you the opportunity that night if you're not getting paid to hone your craft. Like, it's what they want. That's your job that night. So if you're worried, like, about their ideas or, like, like I heard a story about two guys on an independent show in New York maybe, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And both of them have been given their finishes. And one of them's been around for a while. The other one's been around for like 3 years. And they're both like going up to the promoter and trying to like change the entire show because they weren't happy with what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what's asked of you and be a good employee and you'll get brought back.
Right.
Neither guy is in a position where they can afford to lose that once a month booking.
Right.
You know, they're both trying to cut their teeth. They're both trying to get as much experience as possible. And guess what? Like, the promoters all talk. Like, they tell each other, like, who's a headache, who's a pain in the ass to deal with, you know, who's a headache in the locker room, who nobody wants to work with. So, like, that gets around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the guys and girls talk about it, too. So it's just, like, you find out real quick. Like, I've seen guys with all the potential in the world be out of the business 3 months later because they just don't know how to handle themselves the right way, and it gets around, and then they're gone. You just got to worry about the stuff you can control. You know, if you can control it, then that's what you should focus on and concentrate on. If you can't, then just chalk it up to, okay, well, I don't agree with what they're doing, but, you know, I took the booking, so I got to do what they want.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Like, that's...
And don't get me wrong, there's ways to offer suggestions without being a dick, you know?
Yeah.
But just a lot of people come in, like I said, entitled, and they don't know how to do business the right way. So it's just, it comes off as very abrasive. And then that promoter goes, I don't want to deal with this guy again. And then that's the last year of them.
Now, you don't do many podcasts, so I appreciate, you know, you taking the time to speak with me, come on A Shot of Wrestling.
Yeah, I avoid as many of them as I can now.
But you've done a few in the past. So while we're talking about podcasts, what are your feelings about podcasts in the wrestling scene? And like all these groups like the Boulevard Bullies and people who are doing vlogs and people who are really embracing social media in the professional wrestling environment.
Dude, I love it. I love it. And I laugh because like you and the Bullies, like you guys are doing social media better than any of the wrestlers that like should be on top of their game right now.
Appreciate that.
You know, as far as like this area goes. So like that right away makes me laugh. But you guys are driven, you know, and you guys work your asses off, and I think it's great. You know, and you and I met in passing a bunch of times at different shows and stuff. Then we finally got to sit down not long ago and like actually hang out and talk. And you know, that's why I'll gladly come on your show. I had one podcast request that I unfortunately accepted, and I won't say who because I'm not going to sit here and bury people. But
okay,
the questions literally came down to, so you were a tag team at Mojo Rawley, and I said yes for one night, and they go, oh cool, how was he? And I said, he's cool. And they went, oh, cool. So you were in a tag team with Tyler Breeze? And I said, yeah, again, that was just like for one night. Oh, cool. I'm like, yep, it's cool. I'm like, oh, so how was he? And he's a cool guy. And they said, oh, cool. So you wrestled Ty Dillinger once? And I said, yes, I did.
Awesome.
And they said, cool. And they said, how was he? I'm like, all right, Jesus. Like...
Maybe that's your gimmick.
I went searching for whatever I could find to like inebriate myself through the rest of the interview.
Hey, that's their gimmick. Maybe we should adopt that. So, Bull, talk to the GreenMan.
No.
How was
I'm going to start my own podcast, and I'm going to like Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney. That's going to be my new podcast I do. It's going to revolutionize the wrestling podcast industry.
Hey, everybody's got a podcast nowadays, so go for it.
So I'm gonna do that kind of interview style podcast.
Love it. All right, bro. Well, thank you so much again for taking some time talking to me, coming on the show. Fill us in on some things going on if people want to stay tuned and continue to follow your journey. Where can we follow you on social media?
Everywhere across social media at Real Bull James. You can check out NYWC and Outlaw Wrestling for some of the stuff that I'm more involved in as far as instead of just, showing up to a town and doing my job. House of Hardcore, obviously, returns to the arena in December, so that'll be one to watch out for.
Nice.
And, anything and everything you need from me is on social media. I am very accessible and love to interact with people, so feel free, hit me up.
Appreciate it, man. But we're not done with you yet. We still have last call.
Last call. It's 11 o'clock at night, man. Last call's not till like 4.
All right. Well, then let's keep on chatting. So, who was the first girlfriend you ever know? Stick around for a little bit. We got last call at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I need to announce it's last call at the bar.
And we're back here with Bull James on Last Call. You ready, Bull? It's rapid fire questions. The first thing that comes out of your mind is the first thing you should answer. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Terry Funk.
Other than wrestling, what is your favorite sport?
Football and baseball.
What is the most annoying bad habit people have?
Not saying thank you when you hold the door open for them.
What is the best feature on a woman?
Personality, even though everyone's going to be like, yeah, right. Like, you're setting